Alright, hello grade 12s. So I just wanna, as all grade 12s nationally across the country will be writing their final exams for mathematics. It seems like most of the provinces are actually going to be writing their Maths Paper 1 on the 5th of September. It seems like majority. I mean, Eastern Cape is writing then. Limpopo, I believe, is also writing then. Beloved Gauteng is writing then. You can mention other provinces in the comment section that will be writing then. But it's very important for those learners to know that for topics that will be in paper 1, as was in June, algebra will have plus minus 25 marks. So a learner needs to really dedicate some time and actually make sure that all algebra type questions that learner is familiar with, right? That's everything from solving equations using factorization, solving equations using the quadratic formula, where the learner is asked to round off to a particular decimal place. That's very important. Everything that has to do with inequalities, making sure that the learner is able to solve inequalities of various types. I mean, it is very important to get some exposure on the different type of inequality questions that could come about. Everything that has to do with solving for x when it comes to exponential equations. Remember, solve for x for exponential equations involving your K method type questions, all right, which I'm sure you guys in grade 11 you saw that some of you struggled with, but making sure that you are able to cover those, and also solving for x in exponential equations where you have to take out a common factor after splitting terms. So that you can ensure that you take out a common factor and be able to then solve accordingly. Also, where you have to make sure that prime bases, composite bases are changed to prime bases, and then you can actually drop the base and equate the exponents once the bases are the same on either side of the equal sign. Rational equations as well, where you have different types of scenarios there. We need to be very competent in those questions as well. And then also solving for x, where maybe cubic factorization is required. Not only cubic factorization, but also application of some of the calculus and knowledge that you have learned, because such questions could arise in a typical question paper, and we need to be fluent in those. But not only that, simultaneous equations. That simultaneous equations where you have a linear equation and sort of like a quadratic type equation, but also where you have to actually change exponential equations to linear so that you can be able to substitute them into a quadratic type. We need to be fluent in those types of questions. So that's algebra. There's nature of roots as well. There is making sure that in nature of roots, guys, with nature of roots, like honestly speaking, we need to be so fluent in various types of questions. And as I zoom into this particular type of documents, the surd equations, remember isolating the surd and squaring both sides, remembering to check the solutions of a surd equations. Simultaneous, I've spoken about. Quadratic formula, you have your quadratic formula there in the formula sheet, which you have to utilize whenever you have to solve, solving exponential equations, as I said, inequalities. There's nature of roots, guys. B squared delta is equal to b squared minus 4ac. Knowing the different conditions that if roots are real, what does that mean? If they are non-real, what does it mean for delta? If they are equal, what does it mean for delta? Unequal, what does it mean for delta? Rational and irrational, what does it mean for delta? Knowing these various conditions, that delta less than 0 means non-real, delta greater than or equal to 0 means real, especially if it's real and equal. But if it's real and unequal, then delta is greater than 0. Okay, very, very important. Knowing that if delta is equal to 16, that means it's a perfect square, and therefore the roots are rational. If delta is not a perfect square, like delta is equal to 20, then we know that roots are real but irrational. So these are important things we need to know, all right? And as I zoom into these kinds of questions, you can see various solve for x type questions, all right? Very, very important, knowing how to solve for x fluently, guys, fluently. Exponential type equations, nature of roots type questions, guys. We need to know how to solve these simultaneous equations type questions, all right? And we need to be able to solve various levels of those types of questions, because in mathematics there are those level 1 type questions, which require your knowledge, and those are routine type procedure questions. Then there are level 2, type questions, which are a bit more complex. Then there are those level 3 type questions. Well, level 3 is complex, right? Yeah. Level 1 is knowledge. Level 2 is routine type questions. Level 3 is complex procedure. Okay, complex procedure requiring a bit of complex procedures in the mix. And then there's level 4 type questions, which are problem solving type questions. Okay, so for instance, level 4 type questions, like in this question. So guys, we need to become familiar with those kinds of questions, and that's all under the guise of what? Algebra. Okay. And then 1.3, which is usually a question that learners say when in question 1.3 usually is a problem solving type question, and it requires an integration of the knowledge that you possess so that you can be able to solve it. I'm thinking, like, for instance, look at that question. Okay, look at that question. Okay, level 4 type question, but it is solvable. It is solvable. Okay, sequence and series, guys. We need to make sure sequence and series that has to do with quadratic number patterns. Please, guys, the quadratic number patterns, we need to be able to do how to find the nth term of the quadratic number pattern using those expressions. 2a is equal to the second constant difference. 3a plus b is equal to the first term of the first difference. A plus b plus c being equal to the first term of the original sequence for the quadratic number pattern. How to find Tn, and then how to find the next term, just simply by adding on the next and the next difference. It's very important, those things. Arithmetic sequence, all right, very important. T is equal to a plus n, brackets in brackets n minus 1, close brackets with the d on the other side. Tn is equal to ar to the power n minus 1 for your geometric sequence, and the series as well. Okay, sigma, very important. And all other various types of questions. 25 marks, guys. Okay, these are 50 good marks that one learner can get and ensure that they are able to exceed the level 2 threshold. Okay, then functions and graphs. Okay, guys, functions and graphs, all graphs, hyperbola, exponential, quadratic, we must know. Differential calculus, guys, calculus, 35 marks. Look at this, plus minus 35 marks. So big marks here in these two sections, and I think we can definitely master these and make sure that they are well taken care of. Okay, not mentioned here is financial mathematics. That's also in paper 1. So in financial mathematics, we're talking about plus minus 15 marks. That is there. All right, and we need to become a little bit more astute when it comes to the reading and the interpretation of questions when we are actually attempting those types of questions. Then there's probability, which is plus minus 15 marks. That's all your grade 11 probability, including your grade 12 probability. So we need to know we need to know all the rules. Okay, your addition rule, your complementary rule, your independent events, the rule that applies to independent events. Also, we need to know how to utilize the 2-Venn diagram, 3-Venn diagram, tree diagram, your contingency table, to be able to interpret questions related to probability and answering those types of questions. And then, of course, last but not least, we know that the counting principle in grade 12 is something we need to be all well acquainted with and know how to solve problems related to that. Guys, with differential calculus, please, guys, first principles, know how to apply first principles, how to derive a equation using first principles. We need to also know, an expression using first principles. We need to also know how to differentiate using the power rule, all right? The various different types of scenarios. But not only that, we need to also know how to find the equation of the tangent to a cubic function, or the equation of the tangent, just generally. Very important, how to find the derivative, how to find the gradient, all right, and so forth. And then also we need to know how to deal with cubic functions, right? Interpretation, sketching a cubic function, finding the equation of a cubic function, and the likes. So all of this, guys, 150 marks at the end of the day, which ultimately, really and truly, we need to ensure that we are able to do the best that we can. So I have a document here that I'm going to start working through so that we can just make sure that we are covering various questions. All right, you can hop onto my YouTube channel as well. I've started working through, for instance, all of these questions I've worked through. You can go to my short videos, and also you can go to the main videos. I've already started working through these activities, and then you can check against what you have basically done and what I have done, and then we can actually start a build up towards that crucial September trial exam, which culminates in the final exam at the end of the year. Okay, everything of the best, guys, and really and truly it would be sweet if we can break the 75% ceiling when it comes to mathematics performance. Of course, those who are striving for distinctions and getting their 100% and 99%, very much possible, and we just need to make sure that you are practicing maths daily with understanding. Please, guys, consult frequently, do not leave any question unanswered, and maintain consistency at all times. In mathematics, we write an attempt all questions with a positive at no attempt equals no learning. Thus, attempt as many questions as you can, because a day without maths is a no day, Okay. All the best. Maths is a game. Let's level up, guys.